Welcome, everybody, to our partner update. Now, in case you don't know, but here at the Fitness Business Podcast, we absolutely could not have our weekly shows if it wasn't for the support of our sponsors. So speaking of sponsors, we have one of our loyal sponsors on today, Myzone, right? Mike Leveque is joining us today. Mike is the group COO, and he is the CEO of the Americas. Mike, welcome to the Partner Update.
Hey, Dory, it's great to be here, and thanks for having us.
For sure. So I was teasing earlier when we were talking about you wear two really big hats.
Well, that's right. You know, when we started the company, there was only a few of us. So there were a lot of titles to go around. We had to double up on a few. And so there's an operational title that most of us have. Dave is the group CEO. Emmett is the president and looks after sales. And I just happen to be the group COO that looks after product and support and in technology. And then also my regional role is the CEO of the Americas, where I look after our distribution in North and South America.
All right. Well, good for you. You know, I wear one and I'm good with that. So I'll let you wear the multiple hats. You can just keep turning them around. But
that's right.
Today, you're going to wear the hat of, the spokesperson for Myzone to give us like what's going on at Myzone, what's new, what have you guys been up to since we last talked. Now, the first topic that I'd like to hit upon is the Congressional Fitness Challenge that Myzone did back in May, which was the month of fitness. So please expand and tell us a little bit about it and how it went.
Yeah. So, I think one of the things we learned during the pandemic, at least in the US and I think around the world, is that we didn't have a presence in the state and federal legislatures, and when aid was passed out to the arts and to restaurants, they certainly needed the aid, but the gym industry or fitness industry was left behind. And so in an effort to increase our visibility on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., what we did is, in conjunction with the Physical Activity Alliance, which is a DC-based coalition that Myzone happens to sit on the board of, we started a Congressional Fitness Challenge. And together with the American Heart Association, American Cancer Society, ACE, ACSM, and IRSA, we put on a fitness challenge for 400 members of Congress and their staff, where they all worked out and trained for the month of May. And it was great. We gave out awards for, most participants in an office to hit the World Health Organization guidelines, highest point total, highest average total. And so, really what we want to do is, if this ever happens again, and if we ever have a specific ask or need of the congressional offices, they'll be more familiar with our industry. And so together with the PAA, that was an important initiative that we wanted to partake in this year.
So I just want to know, your prizes that you gave out in your awards, was it that awesome swag that I saw floating around at IRSA?
Well, no, we weren't able to give the awesome swag because the ethics office in Congress, we can only give, they restrict us to only give $25 gifts away to Congress. And so no Lululemon tops for them.
So speaking of Lululemon tops, I saw these amazing tops floating around. And actually, I was at the Myzone breakfast at IRSA 2022 when the Lululemon tops were given away. Can you tell everybody why certain people got Lululemon tops from Myzone?
Well, part of the reason we launched Myzone is as a retention and engagement platform. And what we wanted to do is engage members of networks, be it insurance companies or schools or university or health clubs, to adopt an active lifestyle over time, not just get really excited about New Year's resolution or a May challenge. We want to encourage adherence to an exercise program over time. So we've created status symbols based on the World Health Organization guidelines for physical activity. Every month you meet the World Health Organization guidelines, you achieve a new status or progress towards a new status. And we created this great structure that ended at 4 years. And 4 years, you were Hall of Fame. And only if you had 4 years of consistent adherence to the World Health Organization. It's like chutes and ladders. If you miss a month, you drop down, or if you continue to achieve the month, you make progress towards your goal. Well, we have so many members getting to Hall of Fame, they wondered what was next. And at URSA, we launched the next 10 levels of Myzone statuses. And so, you can go from rock star to superstar to MEP star to elite, all the way to 14 years. If you adhere to the World Health Organization guidelines to physical activity for 14 years, you become a Myzone legend.
Okay, now, if you become a Myzone legend, they need more than a Lululemon top. So maybe I'll be anxious to see if you're giving a red car away or, buy.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that the first person that will achieve it will be me. So I'll let you know, because I was there in the very beginning where I was testing our devices before we had launched it. And so I've achieved more months than anyone. So yeah, I hope it's something big too.
Well, I'm sure we'll be excited and wait, but we've got a few years. We've got to wait to see what that's going to be. But I know at the breakfast, everybody just went nuts when you guys unveiled that. I thought that was really, really fun and really, really smart to unveil the breakfast. Perfect timing.
Yeah, Dory, the game continues.
It certainly does. So let's move on to our next topic. And that was Myzone participated in a massive study with MXM. And I'd love for you to tell not only myself a little bit more about it, but also all of our listeners out there.
Yeah, thanks for asking. As you can appreciate, Myzone generates just reams of statistics on our users. Of course, it's all anonymized data. We don't sell our user data, but it's interesting for us to make sure that we're developing the products and services that our members like and use. But it's also important to share that information with operators. And one of the bits of information that we've developed during the pandemic is called an exercise location study. And what we noticed was that prior to the pandemic, members of gyms were exercising or doing 63% of their exercise sessions inside the club and 37% outside the club. Then, of course, in April of 2020, when all the gyms were shut down, it went down to 3% of workouts inside the club and 97% of workouts outside the club. Well, now it's only recovered to 45% of workouts inside the club and 55% of workouts outside the club. So pre-pandemic, 63% of workouts inside the club, and now it's less than 50% inside the club. So now more than ever, it's important to create that experience, that customer experience outside the club and that connection with your member outside the club. And, we feel with the Myzone platform, we're uniquely situated to solve that problem for clubs. But then in addition to that statistic, the MXM medallia information that we're able to generate, Blair and his group were really kind to do 63,000 surveys in 1,500 clubs. And what we found was that a member with a Myzone belt had a higher NPS of 9 points. And so they were 9 points higher likely to refer a friend or family member to the gym than another member that did not have a Myzone belt. And then they further asked another question. They said, well, if you have a Myzone belt, how satisfied are you with your workout results? And by 10 points, a Myzone member was happier with their fitness results than a member without a Myzone belt. And so then they said, okay, well, if your NPS is higher and if your satisfaction with your results are higher, how likely are you to be a member of our gym within the next 6 months? And a Myzone belt member, a member that had a Myzone device, was 14 points higher, more likely to stay a member of that gym within 6 months than a member that didn't have a Myzone belt. And so we've talked for years about Myzone being a member retention and engagement play, and now we have the data to back that up.
Are you taking that data now and pushing it out to clubs by chance, or how are you getting that message out to the fitness facilities that are not yet engaged with Myzone?
Yeah, so what we did is we presented it, as you know, at the breakfast. We presented this information, and this was the first time that we had released that information, and we videotaped it, and we're cutting it down to bite-sized snippets, and we're sending it out to not only our approaching 10,000 clubs around the world that are Myzone licensed facilities, but then also our prospective members and the greater Myzone database.
Yeah, I know JT and we really liked there at the Myzone breakfast, the visual. It was really nice to see the data actually on the visual screen. It just makes it easier to understand. And for me, it's just, I engage a little bit harder and I'm focused a little bit more when I have the visual. So nice job.
Yeah, no, and I think that most, we think that when we announce something that Ursa, it's a big bang and everyone in the industry hears it. But only 3% of the industry actually shows up, or the 3% of the clubs represented show up at Ursa. And so it's really important to have that post-show communication strategy.
Right. And then you take that 3% and how many of the 3% are at the Myzone breakfast?
Yeah, we'd like all of them to be, maybe someday.
FPP family, if you are listening to this, I'm telling you, it's one of the best tickets in town for the Ursa conference, and that's the Myzone breakfast ticket. So make sure March, I'm telling you now, you're going to like sell out the Myzone breakfast like tenfold.
Hey, we'd love it. Yeah, we would love it. And it's the only place to be at 6:30 in the morning on a Thursday.
I know, but it's a good time. It's a good breakfast. But I love the fact that you partnered with another one of our sponsors and partners, MX Metrics. That's awesome.
Yeah, MX and Medallia, they do great work. And so we're happy to partner with them.
I've experienced Medallia firsthand in the club that I worked at for many, many years, and being a sales director, it was our lifeline. So I'm very familiar with Medallia as well as on the podcast, but also worked with them closely. And I love their product.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get back on track to Myzone, and because Blair gets his own turn for this.
Yep.
I just love to hear, we always like the inside scoop, anything that you can tell us about new products or new software that we can expect to see coming from Myzone, besides the watch, which I still think is one of the greatest things you guys did. I love the watch.
Yeah, well, the MZ Switch was launched last year, and It was a revolutionary product. And it's a product, we still like to talk about it because, as much as we think we've flooded the market with the message, it is the only device in the world that can be worn on the wrist and on the chest. And so in times where you just want to walk or run or do repetitive, predictable activities, it's perfect for the wrist. But when you want to do that functional workout or gripping activities, or swimming, say, for instance, swimming is also good on the wrist. But when you want to do the functional or HIIT activities, you definitely do want to wear it on the chest. So we came out with that last year, and that seems like it's old news, but we do like to still talk about it and make sure everyone knows about it. Gosh, this last year we've done so much. We've launched a new mobile application platform. And so we redesigned the mobile app, and it has a whole new look and feel. We kind of migrated away from that Microsoft tile view to a more functional sort of menu bar on the side of the app. And, we're able to add additional functionality. And the reason we did it is so we can have a platform upon which we can build. And we have all kinds of new roadmap features that we're going to release for the app that we can't talk about today, but the new app look and feel was launched this year. But, watch the space, more is coming. We did launch MZ Remote last year, and that was a streaming service that allows clubs to connect with their members when they're outside of their club. So they can stream a workout, but rather than just stream a workout and have a one-way class with an instructor talking to their class, we launched a product where the member can see the instructor, but they can also see the Myzone digital display. And so they can see all the heart rate tiles of everyone taking that class. And so it allows them to feel like they're part of a community taking the class rather than just isolated in their living room taking a class. And then the instructor can see all of the members that have turned on their camera. And so if the instructor wants to correct form, the instructor can do that as well. So we launched that. And I guess the last thing that I would say that we launched just recently at Ursa is MZ Smart Station. And you think about some of these functional classes that are happening as clubs are trying to get their members back into the club. And in the Group X environment, they're launching stationed classes. So you may have two functional stations and you may have a cardio station in the same class. So what we launched is a networked environment of Myzone where you can have a cardio station and you would have 5 tiles of those members that are in the cardio station. Then you would have 2 functional stations and you would have the exercises playing that the members should be doing in those stations, and you would only have those members' tiles that should be in that station. And the same with the second functional station. You'd have 3 stations in the class. You hit play once, and then this class would start in the Group X room, and it would help for traffic flow as well, because if I'm in station 1 and I'm supposed to migrate over to station 2, if I show up at station 3 after my break, I get my water and I lose track of where I'm supposed to be, my tile won't be there. And so I know if my heart rate tile is in the same station I'm in, that I'm in the right station. And so that's something that we launched at IHRSA. We're just kind of finishing the final testing. And so it should be out into the market in the next 30 days. But something we're really excited about, and it solves a big problem of these clubs that are doing functional Orange Theory type of programming, or F45 style programming.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see that when it launches as well. So thank you, Mike. Do you have anything else, or do we have to wait until the next partner update?
Well, I guess the last thing I would talk about is, we understand that we're part of the technology infrastructure that a club may have. And so we've developed 65 integrations with other vendors in the industry. And so, if you look at different vendors like the billing companies or the fitness equipment companies or the weight scale companies, we've integrated with eVolt, with InBody, with ABC Financial. We've integrated with Life Fitness. And so you can see on certain displays that they have their embedded technology. You can see the Myzone tile on their display. We've done the same with Matrix. We want to meet our members where they are, and we understand that clubs want their technology to work together. So it's been a real big initiative of ours to focus on integrations and make sure the member is comfortable using our product and our service, wherever they decide to consume it.
Well, Mike, I gave you the opportunity, so I guess I'm just going to have to bring it up. Speaking of apps, speaking of the Myzone app, a little birdie told me that you won a big award for the Myzone app. Would you like to tell our listeners about, just brag, just take a second to brag?
Yes, we did. Yeah. Well, it was a couple of weeks before in Australia. We were represented ably by my colleague, Emmett Williams, and we won the app of the year. And so we're very proud of that. We were the IHRSA Vendor of the Year a few years ago at FIBO. We were the FIBO Product of the Year. I believe it was 2 years ago. And then this year we won the App of the Year. So we're very, very proud of that. But I appreciate you bringing that up.
There we go. Got to get the brag board in there a little bit.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, we did a couple shout outs. I did a couple shout outs for you on on a couple of the episodes when we heard that you guys won that. That was amazing. Congratulations to you and just the entire team at Myzone.
That's great. We appreciate the support.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on today. And like I said, just giving us a partner sponsor update on what's going on with Myzone. Many of our listeners use the product, they enjoy the product. And if they weren't at IHRSA, they might have missed some of the up and coming things that Myzone is working on, and also even the Hall of Fame statuses, which I think are really important. So thank you again for coming on. And thank you. Yeah. And thank you so much for sponsoring the Fitness Business Podcast. We really appreciate everybody at Myzone.
Hey, thank you for having us. And if any of your clubs or listeners want to learn more about Myzone, they can, of course, go to myzone.org or catch up with us on any of our social channels.